welcome to Fighting Spirit with me, MJ Lee, where we use Chinese martial arts, kung fu or wushu, to improve the quality of life. The last time when we spoke, we introduced you to the basics of Northern Shaolin Kung Fu as well as Tai Chi. So just before we continue, we are going to refresh your memories with the basics of Northern Shaolin Kung Fu. That simple steps that we did a few weeks ago, we need to refresh that, and from there we will look at simple punches, simple kicks, as well as an introduction to the tigers. Now the tigers in Kung Fu would be weapons. The first weapon would be the saber or the broadsword. So as we did before, we're going to start with some simple stretches. Firstly, we're going to start with the neck once again. And then the right arm, left arm, and then either side, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the hands and the wrists, we must try and get this as loose as possible. Remember, the more we train in Kung Fu, the more fluid and natural it will become, like breathing and brushing your teeth. So the more we train, the more fluid it becomes. And the idea is, firstly, through Kung Fu, the individual must improve himself and not focus on improving others or defeating the opposition. Then the right foot as well as the ankles on either side, right and the left side. And then our basic stretch in Kung Fu or the bow stance. Try and keep the back and the chest as straight as possible, as well as the head balanced. And then on the opposite side, we're going to stretch with the left leg out, and we're going to bend the right leg in a Kung Fu. Try and keep the back and the chest up straight, as well as a level head. And then we're going to stretch even further. It's a lower Kung Fu, but on the toes. So we will start on the opposite side again, where we stretch as low down as possible on the toes. And then the opposite side we'll do the same, where the right leg is practically in a Kung Fu, and the left we stretch on the toes. And then we're going to stretch on either side. The right leg, we're going to cross up, 1, 2, 3. And then on the opposite side also, this is very good for the thigh muscles, 1, 2, 3. Once you feel, remember, your body is the only entity that will be able to indicate to you as to whether or not you are ready for any training, for any competition. So once you're ready, it's a good opportunity to start with the feet up straight and to greet in Kung Fu, which is our Ching Li. Right hand, right fist, and left hand. It's the opposites, like the yin and yang. Firstly, before we go anywhere else, let's look at the basic steps of Northern Shaolin. We need to refresh and recap, perhaps for those who may have forgotten. So let's go through it quickly. We started off with the basic Northern Shaolin steps in Fighting Spirit a few weeks ago. The feet up straight, the arms crossed. We opened 1, then 2, we punched in Kung Fu. 3, we kicked back in a Mahabu with the right fist stretched out, the left hand above. 4, we cross over into the crouching tiger with the left hand stretched out. And then we turned, we pointed up towards the sun, and we ended in a low Mahabu, a low horse riding stance. And then we punched again in Kung Fu in a bow stance, and then we kicked and punched simultaneously. And then we turned back into a Kung Fu or a bow stance with the fists crossed over. And we exhaled, we came up, and we dropped the arms. Now that was the revision and the recap of what we did in our first Fighting Spirit insert. So just before we commence with our basic weapon form, the saber, the broadsword, we are going to do some basic kicks and punches in Kung Fu. There are many. These are just the introduction. So if we stand up straight, we open up into a Mahabu or a horse riding stance. We are going to punch in Mahabu in the horse riding stance. 1, 2. and then back in Mahabu. From here we switch into a kungfu or a bow stance, and we're going to punch there also in Mahabu, in kungfu, bow stance, 1, 2, and then we come back into the Mahabu, horse riding stance, we punch 1, 2, and then we switch over to the opposite side in a kungfu, bow stance, and we punch again, 1, 2, and we end the set as we started, back in Mahabu. Then we punch 1, 2, and up. The benefit of punches in Kung Fu, especially if you're in a horse riding stance, in a Mahabu, and in a Kungfu, in a bow stance, it strengthens the legs. It helps to make us more flexible. And with the punches, you strengthen the chest, you strengthen the shoulders, and you strengthen the arms. It's natural strengthening. Every person with all their limbs, you've been born with weapons. Fists, feet, legs, arms, the entire body is actually a weapon. Only to defend yourself, not to harm others. Just remember that. The introduction to our first weapon in Kung Fu, the broadsword or the saber. Weapons are like tigers. We learn to control them in Kung Fu. It becomes an extension of the arm, and it becomes your best friend, your best ally. Only in defense. If you're not in possession of a weapon, then your training should be adapted to objects that look similar to that in your environment. So we started with the basic steps of the broadsword. 1, behind the back. 2, bring the weapon forward and cross the left hand over the handle. 3, catch it in the right hand. 4, behind the back in a kungfu, a horse riding stance, Mahabu. Catch again, 1, 2, 3, in a kungfu, bow stance. Then up on one leg, strike again in the bow stance. Round the head, weapon behind the back again, switch over with the left hand in front. 6, up, catch again with both hands. 7, and feet together, up and stop.